Hi there, this is Dr. Embuddy with Project 6, and this one has a lot of similarities to Project 5 in that you open a file, you read in the data, and then you do something with that data, and then you output it, print some things, plot some things, and so on. In this case, we're dealing with information out of two files, and we have to kind of combine them and take a look at them. And the topic is research and how you go and there's categories. So if you're in a particular field, you're interested in that particular type of research, and so on. When you so with that, let's take a look at this project. When you take a look at the project description, you'll see there's some functions. So there's an open file function, which is like ones we've done before. We read journal files and we read category files. So there's two different types of reading that we do. We're going to display some information. Along the way, we're going to sort it in a particular way. We'll be prompting for that, so the item getter becomes important. Then we'll prepare for plotting, and we'll actually plot the data. In the main, we specify a few things, like in particular, we read both files, first the category and then the journal files. Then we prompt for a user index that we will be sorting on. Okay, that's an important item. And then when we output things, we're going to only look at the first 20 and so on. So what I'd like to do is take a look at one of these. What we're going to do is read in the journal file. So I'll assume that we've got the open file because you've already done that before. And we're going to deal with the small versions of the files just to get started. And so here's a look at one of the files, and you can open it up in Excel or some other spreadsheet. And there's some columns. We have 2 rows of headers. There's the name of the journal. There's citations, the impact factor, and then this eigenvector score. So we're interested in the citations. A couple of things to notice there, that there are commas in there, and you're going to want to take care of those. Just like the other column has floats, and in all of these there's possibilities that there are undefined values. You don't see it in the small file, but you will see it in other files. So this one's called Journal Impact Small, and I'm going to start here. Now this, of course, is not what our open file is to look like, but I'm just going to use that to get started. And we're going to work on the read journal file, so I need to put both of these into the main. Got to open the file and then use it. And that's going to return some kind of a list. I'll give it a bad name. You better use a better name than that, but that gives us something to start with. So let's actually now take a look at how we're going to deal with this. So we're going to be reading through a file, and if you look at the notes, it says we're going to use the CSV reader. So we already have the import CSV, and we've already gotten the file pointer. So let me copy these 3 lines and put them into my function here. There we go. And we'll want to take those 3 and indent them. Now, notice a couple of things here. So because we're using the CSV reader, and at the top of our program we do have import CSV, so that's okay. So we create a reader. That variable there can be any name. I called it reader, but it could be Fred or George or whatever. The way you skip a line with the CSV reader is we have to use the next, and I called that header. And notice that with the CSV we actually get a list. So what I like to do at this point is just make sure everything's working okay, and let's save that and run it. And I forgot the words .csv in there. All right, so see, these little things that get fixed up. All right, so there we go. Now we're getting some information that looks like was in the CSV that we had. And one of the things that we need is the name. So let's grab the name, and that's in my list. That's item 0 in there. So let's see if we can extract that and see how we do here. So so here is the line written in, and I've extracted out the name. And if you look at the instructions, I think it says to look at the first 30 characters of that, and so we can put that in there, and we see like here's a long one that's more than 30 characters, and it got truncated. All right, so that's going along nicely. Let's take a look at citations. So that's in the next column. Now again, I'm reading those in, and they're coming in as a string, and so we see that I'm successfully grabbing the citations, but I'd like to change that to an int, and that means I got to get rid of the commas. So replace works nicely, and take this one step at a time here, and so now I've gotten rid of the commas. We can see that the original string had commas, this doesn't. So now hopefully I can convert that to an integer, and we can print it. And it blows up, and it says right here in my error message that it tried to convert total cities into an integer, and obviously total cities is not an integer. And it turns out that we only skipped one header line. In fact, we need to skip 2 header lines. So let's make that replacement. Okay, so now when I had 41,033 here, I now have converted it to an integer. Now, what happens if there's bad data there, like it says NA or some sort of a thing like that? Well, again, we give you instructions of what to do. That's to use a try except with a value error. So let's put that in there. And we need to do that with the numbers. Copied in the value error, and if you look at the instructions, it says to skip them, and one way I can skip them is with a continue. So let's try and see how we're doing here. So what I've done is I've grabbed a name, sliced it off into what it needs to be. I'm doing a try on the conversion to an integer, and if it fails, then I will skip that particular value. And of course, you need to do the same thing with the floats and so on. And then you need to create a lists of lists. So you can see that, or actually it's a list of tuples in this case, and you can see that in here is, when I take these three pieces of information, the name, the name here, the citations, and the impact factor. So I have a string, an int, and a float, and I make a tuple out of it. See the parentheses there? Make a tuple. And then after I make each tuple, I append it to my list. So in here, I will need to initialize a list. And after I get all my data worked out, I need to create a tuple, which basically is something with parentheses, and then I need to append that tuple to my list. All right, and then so there's your basic structure there. Initialize a list, create a tuple, and then append that to your list. And so that'll create a list of tuples, and you're going to then want to return that, and you'll be handling that in the main part of the program. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to get started. Good luck.